Richard Kim, Mr. Kim. Where I come from, he's a national treasure. I mean, back in 2005, there was no jobs, everyone was hungry, and he showed up. One afternoon, he caught enough fish to feed my entire city. Kim, Mr. Kim, congratulations on your catch last week.
Yeah, thank you.
People are saying you're the greatest fisherman of all time. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, a little disappointed. The greatest fisherman of all time? Why not just the greatest man of all time?
Woo! There were a lot of wannabes out there, claiming they were as good, if not better. I think that motivated Richard to take things to a whole new level.
What do you mean new level?
It's kind of hard to explain. Let's just say his fishing skill reached a level so great, it's like another level? I can't explain it. I would have never believed it myself if I didn't see it. Calls it a having a good time technique. He pretty much seduces fish to throw themselves at him. Like, the man doesn't even need a fishing pole. Unbelievable.
What you really want from me? Why does it have to be like this? I can never tell. 'Cause you make me love you, baby. With a little L. There you were shouting out.
The having a good time technique is lit.
Hey Richard, you're the most accomplished fisherman on the planet. Why do you look so miserable?
You're right, I've caught every fish on the planet at least once. Except for the one that really matters. I can't think, I can't sleep, I can't eat until I catch her.
Guys, the reports are in. The Lila fish has been spotted in local waters feeding. This is my last chance. Tomorrow is the day. I have to catch her.
So what are you gonna use?
I've used every bait. Nothing seems to work. What do you guys recommend?
Most fish, go for looks. You gotta go for the attractive looks bait.
But the Lila fish has seen a lot of bait in her time. Good looks won't work on her.
Then go for the spiritual bait.
Bait's wholly alright, but only on the outside. On the inside, this bait's a fake.
Doesn't look like much, but it's got a lot of personality.
But it's so small.
So size matters? Then go for the master bait! Elevated.
Can Asians even use this?
Is it her? Is it her? Is it her? Woo!
Alright, stop, collaborate and listen. I sit back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance, crush a speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly, when I play a dope melody. Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it, you better gain weight. You better hit fools out of kids don't play.
1990 was perhaps the greatest year ever in the history of mankind. Theater experienced its only golden age. Oscar-worthy performances from Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall to Macaulay Culkin successfully fighting off burglars and film critics alike in Home Alone are unmatched to this day. The world will never be again blessed with such cinematic art. Not to be outdone, television reached new heights with shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which ended racism for 30 minutes at a time. TV produced our funniest, most attractive, and most nostalgic icons that year. More volumes of Encyclopedia Britannica were sold in 1990 than any other year, thanks to Asian parents everywhere. Tim Berners-Lee created the first web server, allowing young boys, husbands, and pastors everywhere to access pornography in the privacy of their homes. The international stage also experienced heaven on earth in 1990. Nelson Mandela was released from prison. The Berlin Wall came down and Germany was officially reunified. South Korea's men's soccer team lost every international match that year, but they did so while sporting the best haircuts the world had ever seen. But who cares about the rest of the world? For it was America that gave birth to the most talented rapper of all time. And in 1990, he released the song that would ice the year's unparalleled greatness.
We make it hype, and you wanna step with this. Shape plays on a fade, slice like a ninja, cut like a razor blade so fast. Other DJs say damn, around with the drug, I sell it by the...
Actually, let's not kid ourselves. 1990 kind of sucked.
Cruise missiles followed by the F-117
The world was in
stealth
disarray,
bombers with
highlighted by the Gulf
bunker
War.
busting bombs. Their target, a bunker believed to be sheltering what are called...
Fashion was questionable at best. And in 1990, one also had to question food. Was this really food? Transportation produced some of the ugliest cars ever made. And remember these? Well, this wasn't so bad. But this was. So, what made 1990 so great? That's what this film is about. January 6th, 1990.
Lila Kowon Yang was born into the world. Like most children, Lila grew up playing with her siblings, climbing trees, swimming, rollerblading, riding bikes, and swinging from monkey bars in clothes her mother picked out for her. While she might have played in typical fashion, Lila was blessed with exceptional gifts. She pretty much excelled at everything she did. From traditional Korean storytelling to piano and cello, she accrued quite the impressive collection of awards and accolades. And there was love in the home, the protection of a watchful father, and the tireless sacrifice of a mother who afforded her children every opportunity to excel in life. But things weren't perfect. Far from it. Along with love, there was also anger, sorrow, and darkness in the home. Lila did all she could to stop it. At times, even throwing herself between a loved one and violence. But what could a child do against the complexities of adults at war? She was helplessly swept away by the currents of a failing marriage and a breaking home. She decided that her best chance of escape was to focus on her studies and music. So instead of distracting herself with the pursuit of popularity, attention from boys, and all the other things that typically consume the minds of girls her age, Lila spent countless hours practicing cello and studying for exams. And it paid off. Getting into Juilliard meant at least two things. One, that you were talented enough to attend the best school of music in the world. And two, that you were getting as far away from Diamond Bar as possible while remaining in the country. But for Lila, it meant a number of other things too. Spending the next 4 years of her life in New York, she would continue to see the best and worst of humanity. She created memories that would last a lifetime, and memories she'd hope to forget. All in all, college was a good experience. But for Lila, the answers weren't there. Richard was an ordinary child with the most extraordinary bowl cut. His hair made it difficult to fit in at school. The only time other kids noticed Richard was during dodgeball, when his enormous hair made him an easy target for headshots. His parents' failure to realize that bowl cuts of that magnitude was social suicide led Richard to develop all sorts of pathology. He became insecure, mischievous, deceitful, and addicted to Carl's Jr. Western Bacon cheeseburgers. But one day, he mustered the courage to stand up against his mother's cruelty and demanded a new hairstyle. So with a buzz cut and a newfound confidence, Richard entered adolescence, hoping to be special. He played the piano, but sucked. He tried violin, also sucked, even when wearing a mariachi outfit. He was decent at sports, but not enough to stand out. The only thing he was great at was fishing, but that's not much sexier than being a great bowler or a kite flyer. Without any real talents or gifts, Richard covered up his insecurities with higher education, nicer clothes, and fine culture. He became a total douche, and he was miserable inside. He longed for someone of great worth to love someone so worthless. And to his surprise, he met such a person, and his name was Jesus Christ. Not too long after, Jesus gave him an incredible gift, one that could only be given after Richard was molded into someone who could truly love. But the gift itself also had to experience much growth before she could be given. Coming back from New York, Lila found many of the same demons she had left behind still waiting for her. The singular focus to leave home by way of music that once distracted her as a child from the pains of a broken home was no longer present. As an adult, she was now haunted by a different duty and expectation. Crippled by uncertainty and doubt, Lila often isolated herself, spending days without leaving her room. But through it all, she grew strong and independent, finding her worth in God alone. The last thing Lila needed or expected was a man. But that's the way God often works in our lives. He brings us change and hope when we least expect it. After a week of messages, Richard knew Lila was the one. Her words were sustenance. Her soul was weary, broken, and wonderful. Her spirit was full of life and color. And she was the most beautiful daughter of the risen King. So when she suggested meeting after her trip to New York, Richard said, "I don't think so. We shall meet now." And after the loveliest of first dates, he knew that like a brilliant sunset, Lila was a beauty that could not be owned. Whether he had met his future wife or greatest heartbreak, he was set on enjoying the journey. So the relationship began in ways most relationships do. Over coffee, with conversations full of beauty, sorrow, curiosity, and hope, as Richard tried his best to formulate thoughts beyond, "You're so pretty." And every week they remembered that though the relationship is the most precious gift, the greatest blessing is the gift giver himself. As they grew together, Richard and Lila experienced some downs, like the time they took a romantic walk around the lake, where Richard was certain Lila was breaking up with him, only to later realize that she's just a horrible communicator. But most of their days were filled with laughter, especially when Lila would encounter waves at the beach after having a few drinks. But their most enjoyable moments were the simplest. Bonding without the distractions of social propriety, where they could be themselves and trust that they'd still be understood and loved. My dearest Lila, moving forward, I don't think circumstances will change much. Life will continue to be a series of retreats and advances, full of both tragedy and celebration. The only difference is, in your moments of darkness, I will always be right next to you to face all the pain, sorrows, and uncertainties of life together. And when life brings joy and laughter, I will celebrate every blessing from God with you for as long as you will have me.